low-key, when I was thinking about Clinton coming as well, I was secretly happy that he couldn't make it.
But I was watching other videos there and I was thinking, where's Clinton going to go? 'Cause
No, where am I going to go? Like, because obviously for like, with you lot being twins, for the aesthetics, I have to go in the middle. Do you think I'm sitting between two 6-foot brothers? It's not happening. I would have got South Park Media having to do some crazy edits to make me...
film a video or something.
Hey, I would have, I don't know, like even the way your feet touch the ground, and look at the way your foot is flat on the ground. I don't like it, like my feet are hanging too much. Hey, South Park are going to have to edit this. But I'm excited to say, today we are back for another episode of the Property by Kazy podcast. As always, we've got a special guest, and we've got Carlton from Viden Properties, one part of the founding partners from that business. If you're not already, make sure you go and hit that subscribe button. It's like here or here, depending on where the editors put it. Is it going to be down there? Wherever it is, go hit that. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you like, comment, all that good stuff. Let us know what you want to see. And if you've got any questions for myself or for Carlton, you can put them in there and one of us will come back to you.
100.
But without further ado, Mr. Carlton, introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Carlton. As Kazy said, I'm one half of Viden Property. Me and my brother co-founded it. We're twins. We started a few years ago, about 5 years ago now. And the long story short of it is we deal source. So we sell high return investment buy-to-lets and we train people. To this day, we've done countless amount of sourcing for our clients and we're training hundreds of people to get started in property.
That's good, man. That's good. So when you say deal sourcing, obviously a lot of people at different stages of their journey.
Yeah.
What does deal sourcing mean? Like break down deal sourcing for me a little bit.
So deal sourcing is pretty much finding an investment opportunity and presenting it to an investor where the investor will then purchase it from you. So the different types of deals that you can source is buy-to-lets, rent-to-rents, HMO, land without planning, land with planning. So there's different types of things that you can specialise in. And of course, being in the industry, people do all different types of things.
Yeah. So, and you've been doing that, you said 2019 you set out, right?
We was doing it before we started Viden Property.
But as Viden Property, you've been doing it since 2019.
Nice. No, 2018.
Because a lot of people obviously talk about how to get into property and what the steps can be to get into property.
Yep.
And naturally, as we know, as being property investors and developers, that, one of the main barriers to entry is capital.
100.
But deal sourcing is potentially a way that you can get into property and build relationships with people, with with the people that are selling the properties, with potential investors, with a lower capital amount. So how much would you say you need to maybe get into deal sourcing?
I would say there's ways around it. So to actually get started with deal sourcing, you need to become compliant. So becoming compliant basically means you're licensed as an estate agent and legally allowed to trade and do deals within property. And that costs about 1K. Yeah, because you have to get signed up to different bodies like Property Ombudsman, you have to get anti-money laundering, you have to get insurances, and that's something that you have to pay every year, so it's annually. But the way people get around it is they'll partner with a company that's compliant. So for example, we're compliant. So people that come to our training that don't have the money or don't want to pay the money to set up their company, they would leverage our compliance. But of course, we'll charge a commission for that.
You'll charge a percentage, you'll basically co-source with that said person. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting, and it's good that, hear that you know a lot about the compliance side. 'Cause I think a lot of the time when you speak to people in property that, that there's not as much emphasis on the importance of the compliance, because if you're not compliant, you can open yourself up, when you're dealing with these like high value properties, you could open yourself up to a lot of exposure
100.
if you don't comply with the necessary regulations.
100%. But what I find is people don't really become compliant that much in property, especially when using a strategy rent to rent. It's like the Wild West, because as long as you have a deal, people buy it from you. Do you know what I mean? So some people don't even care if you're compliant. They're like, yo, you got that deal? It has £1,000 profit every single month. Like, fuck it, I'll pay you.
And I think, where that becomes important though is about if you want to be in it for longevity. And I think that's the difference. Like some people, we hear the word like side hustle a lot. Like, I just got into it as something to do on the side. But I think for people like yourself, for me, like property is our primary vocation.
100.
We're not doing it alongside a full-time job or alongside wanting to do something else. We're looking at property and wanting to be in it for the long term. And when you want to be in something for the long term, you have to think about your integrity, your reputation, your track record, because if you're not compliant, or you just think, I'll just sell this deal, like down the line, you don't know how that's going to come back to bite you, or when you want to do bigger deals with people in the future, that like not like sort of dotting your I's and crossing your T's on day one can potentially lead to you losing money in future deals.
100%, because deals, any person that's selling a deal, whether it's buy to let, rent to rent, the minimum charge is about 2K. People charge for buy to lets. So becoming compliant costs about 1K. So it's kind of worth it, because some investors won't work with you if you're not compliant. And you'll miss out on that money. You get me?
And I think just even beyond that, like you said, if your startup costs £1,000, like I'm not like belittling any amount of money, because having £1,000 is disposable to be able to go and do something in different scenarios can be a lot of money. However, if you're in an industry where potentially you can be making £2,000 for your first deal, and you're confident in your ability to be able to package a deal, do your due diligence to make sure it stacks, and then find somebody to buy that deal, and you can make a 200% return on investment technically on day one. After that, it's all profit.
But some people don't look at it like that though.
I think, do you think it's because of risk? People don't like to risk their own money? Because
some people don't look, they look at it like, they think, you know, if I can do it without it, then fuck it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think it's about, you know, it's again about what you want out of it, and about how you view it. Because if you view stuff as a business from day one, then you look at like your exposure to risk, you look at, okay, what your overheads are, and realistically, if you're getting into any type of business, whether it's property, deal sourcing, or you're setting up a shop, you should know that you're going to have like, you know, variable costs and fixed costs, and what they're going to be and how much they're going to go up, and to do some cash flow forecasting.
100. So that's why with us, we get every single person that comes to our training, the second they leave it, as soon as they have like a day break or whatnot, they have to make a business plan. Because the business plan will say that, and it'll have all your costs up front, then it'll have your costs and the monthly cash flow that you're going to be making or projected, and then from then you know how to move. Because when you don't make a plan, that's how you make those mistakes.
Yeah, and I think you see that idea of like just the concept of making a business plan, because it's sort of off topic, but I think it's relevant, because you know, sometimes like I try not to follow the blog pages, but you know, sometimes you just get caught up in the social life. And I saw there was a post on I think it was on one of the UK gossips or the Shea Boroughs, and it was kind of like downplaying like certain degrees, like a degree in business studies, but because they're more generalized, and it was like, oh, what do you learn from it? But for me, like I studied business studies at A level, and then went on to do economics, but there's still a lot of business studies in there. I found like a lot of the core principles, like forget even the A-level stuff, the stuff that you were learning at GCSE or year 9, like the idea of SWOT analysis or doing a business plan or cash flow forecasting, like they can be really instrumental in providing a framework for a successful business.
100%. Like the business plan we give to our students, it has a SWOT analysis in there, which is funny you say that. And one thing I would say is I studied business marketing in uni, so it's not property, and that's another point I want to get. You don't need to go to university to get started in property. I'm a product of that. You didn't study property. You're doing nothing.
Yeah.
But it does help though. One thing I would say.
I think it's a weird balance, because if you were to ask me like, okay, where do I value like my degree in terms of my success going forward? Like directly, my degree hasn't helped at all. But indirectly, it's been instrumental because of like my understanding of business, and you know my ability to comprehend and process numbers that I learned from my degree. That I definitely think and it is that safety net of, okay, you've got something to fall back on, whether or not it's you're trying to get directly into property, or even if you want to work in an associated industry, sometimes having that degree can be really beneficial. But I think whatever it is you choose to study or go into, whether it's university, whether it's an internship, whatever it is, it has to be right for you at the time. I think that's the most important element of it.
100%. Because with me, I thought like a lot of the skills that I learned just from my journey, because prior to property, me and Clinton ran a recruitment company. We was recruiting delivery drivers for depots like DPD, FedEx, DX. But even then, it taught us how to like work with people and have employees, and it taught us how to pretty much operate a business properly. And obviously all those skills are transferable.
Do you know what's funny about saying that? I think like, because I spoke to Tej, I spoke to yourself, I think speaking to Stephanie shortly, and one of the common like denominators behind a lot of people's success in property is that they had another business beforehand, that a lot of the processes they homed and learned, and some of those businesses beforehand were successful, some of them weren't, some of them were successful for a period and ended up being non-profitable, and that's why they moved on. But I definitely think it's this misconception that, you know, if you start a business and it fails, it means you should go back to work and do something else. Whereas you could go for a job interview, and because you don't get that first job, you're not going to say, I'm not going to apply for any more jobs. And, you know, there is other factors that play, like the capital, but a lot of time, you know, business, what you take out of your first business isn't money. It's that experience.
100%.
It's that understanding that, okay, like, you know, there is a point where you have like that negative growing pains where you're growing to a point where it's almost counterproductive. Like you're making less money because you're getting bigger.
One thing I would say is, with me, our business was good. It was making good money, but I wasn't happy because it wasn't serving me. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't stimulating my mind, because once you got in the flow of things, it's clockwork. It was easy at that point. I wasn't learning anything. So I didn't like that. So when I started evaluating different industries to get into, property was attractive to me because it's scalable. So once I learned about the model deal sourcing, like that was attractive to me, because I know that it's something that people need, especially in our community, because people don't really know about property.
How did you find out about deal sourcing? Like what research did you go on any courses yourself?
I didn't go on courses myself. I didn't go on my courses myself because I didn't see any courses that made sense. Any courses that I looked into, they were thousands of pounds. And I was thinking to myself, that's a bit too much. And obviously they don't come with mentorship, because I felt like I valued mentorship as well. So I was thinking to myself, I need someone to actually sit down and show me that actually cares. So it wasn't even something I was looking for, but I bumped into people, and people pretty much sat down with me and showed me, like, this is how you do this is how you do that. And allowed us to work with them. And that allowed us to put the pieces together. Do you get what I'm saying? So every single strategy that we used in property and what we use in property, someone's pretty much guided us and showed us.
They showed you, and I think, it is good. Like, you know, I say it sometimes, and then people ask, can you mentor me? And I can't, but I think it is really good that if you can find somebody that is doing what you want to do, and you can almost find a value proposition. So like you said, potentially at the time you may have maybe been sourcing, but then co-sourcing with the person.
So we're helping them, helping them find the deals, helping them find investors. That stuff helps. Do you know what I mean? But that's one of the reasons why we started doing our training, because we seen that the market needed it, because other trainers charge thousands and thousands of pounds. They're so big that they can't even give you the proper ongoing support. So for us, it was like, you know what, we can help people that way. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that we needed. So what we offer to people is what we would have benefited from. Someone sitting down with us, showing us the whole thing from start to bottom, give us all the documents and contracts that's needed to get started, and then helping us execute the plan moving forward. That will make it so you can speed up from a couple of years to do something to a couple of months. You get me?
Yeah. No, I hear that. But then to play devil's advocate, obviously there's a lot of, within the training space, not just in property, but a lot of training that's not like accredited, because we're not like university bodies or A-level bodies that is not accredited training. That, you know, there is some negative stigma around some property mentors and property trainers. What do you think of the industry as a whole? Like, do you think it needs more regulation? Do you think it needs less regulation? Do you think there's what's your thoughts of the actual whole industry?
I like the industry, of course. Biased, but I like the industry. But the reason why I like it is because it gives people an opportunity to learn what you need to do to get started in property. Because other people, they'll go to university to get a property because they think, I talk to people all the time that say this to me, they study property at university because they think that's how they're going to get involved with it. But they're paying for the university, they're going to debt to go to university. And some people, they'll go through the whole career, the whole journey of going to university, finishing it, and then they still haven't started yet. Do you know what I mean? They still haven't set out and achieved what they want to achieve. So I feel like property training, it serves that purpose because it gets to the point. Like, for example, our training, it shows you how to get a deal, shows you how to get an investor. Do you know what I mean? It shows you how to run the numbers, shows you how to put together the business. And that's pretty much what you need to make money. So that's why I really like it. Do you know what I mean?
So it's deliverable steps. So you feel like with your training, you have like milestones that they tick off, and you said you have like an ongoing sort of mentorship program with the training. So you kind of give people, okay, you've got to go away and do this and come back to us, then go away and do X and come back to us. Yeah.
Not everyone comes back to us though. So some people, they'll get information to do their thing, and I'll just see them, like, because I show them how we get investors and whatnot, and I just see them doing their thing. Do you know what I mean? But others, sometimes they need support, so it just depends on the type of person you are.
Do you think, like, do you get a lot of, obviously not everybody learns differently. Like, I might be somebody who needs like a load of hand holding, and somebody else might be somebody who needs that like Wolf of Wall Street style chest beating and just morning motivation. How do you think that you tailor your course to the individual, or do you think that you have your course and you kind of explain to people what it is they're going to get, and then people can decide whether or not it's going to be the right fit for them?
So our course, the way we make it is like, it's not in massive groups. That's one thing. We make sure that it's not in no more than 8 to 10 people, maximum 8. So once it gets to that point, it's sold out. And the reason why we do it like that is so we can pretty much attend to each person, and we can look them in the eyes and know, okay, this person needs to understand that, let me go over it. And before we move on to each topic, we make sure everybody understands it. Do you get what I'm saying? And we offer ongoing support and, of course, help them make their business plan. Because every single person that comes to our program, for example, we can have 8 people in a room, and each one of them want to do a different part of property, because we cover how to locate flips, we cover how to do rent to rent, sell the deals, take them on, we cover how to source buy to lets. So depending on what they want to focus on, that's what we give the support on after. It's not a thing where everyone comes and does the same thing.
Okay, so it's a little bit more bespoke down to the individuals, just exactly. Delivering it in person. Yeah. So, do you think do you find it rewarding when you see the people come back and they've like?
That is everything. Yeah. I find it so rewarding when I see people say, Carlton, like they execute the plan. When they come to me like, oh, Carlton, I just bought this house, or Carlton, I just took on this rent to rent, or I just sold 10 deals to this investor. I feel so happy because I think, oh my God, like. I can't explain it, just rewarding.
It's like you actually see the value in what you're doing.
Yeah. But obviously we know the value is there, but then when you've seen it, it's so bro.
No, because you see it, like it's fine, because you know that like if you're selling a course for a reasonable price, you know that whether or not they go and make hundreds of thousands or not, you know that that there's value in what you provided them. Yeah. But obviously seeing that people actually go out there and come back to you and are happy, I'm sure that.
Yeah, bro, because especially young people, because a lot of them, they want a career, so they're thinking to myself, what am I going to do with myself? And they look at us and be like, oh yeah, you're doing property, I want to do property. So when they come to our program and actually follow it through and learn, and they start becoming financially free by taking on deals or doing buy refurbished refinance, or even selling enough deals for them to be nice and saving up their money, it's good to see, because now that's their career. They're going to be making money, putting their family on, showing their friends how to do it. And that's one of the reasons why we set out to do it. Because when we first started in property, deal sourcing especially, we didn't tell no one nothing. We was very secretive, like hush, like, I'm not telling people how to do this, I'm not telling people to do that. Don't want to create competition. But when we sat down and evaluated it, it was like, we're not taking away from ourselves by showing people what to do. Yeah, no, we're only helping them, and they're not going to take food at our plate. Sometimes it does, though, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I don't think. Sometimes it may do, like, if you look at it and think, oh, indirectly, I maybe could have done that deal, but then the fact that you've got that person to work alongside and is maybe gonna, like you said, need your services in regards to the compliance side of things, they're going to bring that money back full circle. The fact that they might have a deal that's too big for them to deal with because they haven't been doing it for as long as you. So then they'll come back to you and do business with you. And I think when we look around, it's when I look at like drone footage of just London alone, forget about the whole of the UK. There's so many like properties out there that like, and I think we spoke about this in the Property Insider series that we shot, like that. You giving somebody else a gem, like, is never gonna take money out of your pocket. All that's gonna do is allow them to come and, do you know what I mean, make money alongside you, and you all make money, your circle's elevated, and then down the line, that might be the same person that then they've got too much disposable capital and becomes an investor for you, or you might have disposable capital and become an investor for them.
It works, man. But the main thing as well is like, I want the information to be accessible. Like the amount of times people come to me like, oh, I don't have enough money to get started yet. I'm not ready to start. But they don't understand that, bro, even if you don't have any money, you can actually get started at the month.
You can get started. It just depends. You have to understand what you want to do in property and understand the direction that you want to go in.
Exactly that.
I think like, for me, I think, that increased access to education, particularly in a property space that, historically was seen as being dominated by maybe like old white men, for example, there being a lot more information from a lot more people from different backgrounds is really important.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I started creating content, because even with me, it was hard. It wasn't hard, but it wasn't as easy to digest the content that was out there for property. Do you know what I mean? Because when I see someone that's not from my community talking about certain things it makes me think, I can't really, that's not for me, because, do you get what I'm trying to say to you? So when I looked at it, I was like, if I can create the content that would help people get started and teach them in the way that they normally like to take in content, then that would make them listen. Do you get what I mean? So I started doing that, and then so far so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think my only other side to the education side of things is that I think the main thing that's important is one, like value for money. So like courses shouldn't be too expensive. They should, in terms of your return on investment, because like, you know, it's universities, like, although they make like, you know, if it comes close to university prices and you don't get a university, like you don't get like X amount of qualified lecturers teaching you, kind of think there's a balance.
I agree with you. I think courses being £9,000 and crazy money, I personally think that's high. Do you get what I mean? So that's why I wouldn't charge nothing like that. So it's priced accordingly. I think it's good.
I think it's that, and I think also, like, I think it's really important that, you know, courses don't overpromise and underdeliver, because it's like, you know, you don't want a course that almost preys on people that are kind of desperate, or like that, you know, that really want. Because obviously, if someone sees you or sees me and sees this person's gone and they've changed their life in property and they're making a load of money now, it's almost easy to be like, oh, let me give somebody my last £100 or last £1,000 to go and learn. But I think, you know, there's also there needs to be accountability from like us as people in property that's giving out information, that also say that, look, like not every, like property is not for everybody. Not everybody makes money in property. Like there's loads of money out there to make, but you coming on this course isn't going to guarantee you money. 100%. You've then got to come off the back of the course and do like, for every 10% you learn, you've got to put in another 90% to go and get those deals across the line.
100%. Just to be crystal clear, property is not a get rich quick thing at all. But you do need information to get started. And with us, we evaluate the people that want to sign up to our program. We talk to them and we understand what they're setting up to do, and then we can advise them accordingly. I talk to people all the time where it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to do the training because they don't have the time or their goals don't align with it. Do you know what I'm saying? So we don't just take on anyone, we only take on people that we know we can help.
I think that's good, man. So where can people find you if they want to do your course? I don't know if you mind like saying the numbers, like how much roughly stuff costs.
Yeah? So our course is £900 per person, which comes with the full training. It comes with all the documents and contracts that you need to get started, which we pay solicitors a couple of thousand to draw up ourselves as well. Comes with the calculators, and it comes with ongoing support. So we will help you indefinitely. So it's not a thing where you only get 1 hour or 2 hours of our time per month. You get to speak to us whenever you want to do. As long as you're not calling us at 4 o'clock in the morning or silly times like that, then it's fine. And pretty much we'll grow together. And it's something that we've been doing since 2019, the courses. But we're looking to put it online very soon because we've been building it since last year. So we're about to go put it online, and once we put it online, that's when we're going to change things around a bit.
Yeah, restructure a little bit. What's your, I don't know if you have one, but have you got like a favourite story of a student? Like, you know, someone has come back to you and you've been like...
I don't have a favourite story. And a lot of the stories there that I have is for students as well. Some of them don't want to put themselves out there. A lot of them like, no, I can't put myself out there, I can't put my face out there. I don't want to make a video or nothing like that. They want to keep their thing private, which is fair enough. Yeah. But someone that I'm really proud of is George. Okay. George is doing really well. George, I think he was either 18 or 19 when he started working with us. And since then, he's gone to take on rent to rent, which made him financially independent. And he's got the contracts for, I think, about 4 to 5 years, you know. And that's making him a couple of grand a month. But for a young boy, that's really good. And we've obviously taught him how to sell deals. So he's passing on deals. I think his price point is a minimum 3,000 for a flip. And he's using the strategy we showed him really well. So I'm really proud of him. So he's someone that I really like, and I feel like he's doing really well. But there's so much different people, so I can't really pinpoint one.
Yeah, but it's just an example of seeing, I think someone particularly at that age, like, you know, 18, 19, you know, you could be doing all sorts. And I think particularly, you know, in the black community as well, where there's like a stigma, like not a stigma, but like, you know, a lot of the time it's like, you know, people are thinking rapper or footballer and outside the box. That I think definitely, you know, for us to elevate as a community, there has to be a lot more business that's done. So to see someone of that age, like, you know, being able to look after themselves, like kind of run on their own time, because also the other side of it is property may not be everybody's long-term plan. For a lot of people, property is a means to an end to be secure, and then they might be the next person creating, you know, being a developer and creating skins in the metaverse, so they might be, you know, building their own NFT, but having the time is what allows you to focus on maybe whatever it is you want to do. 100%. And opportunities like deal sourcing and rent to rent, I mean, I got back into rent. Like I was in property first, doing developments, and got into rent to rent like 5 years later. And that was because I needed the cash flow, because it was great doing all these flips, but then I was just spending the money I'm making sometimes because I needed income. So I think it is good. So again, if you guys are looking for somebody to reach out to find out how, you know, you can potentially further your property education, you can reach out to one. Would you say you're the better part or the worst part? For your equal?
It's like yin and yang. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so
like,
you have different... How have you... Yeah, because actually... How have you found doing business? Because you know people say you don't mix business and family. How have you found doing business with your brother? Not just your brother, your twin.
It's natural.
Yeah.
Like it's not a thing where it's forced between us at all. And since young, we've always done things together. Do you get what I'm saying? We didn't study together, so we went to different universities. But doing the business together is very fine because we live together, and it goes well because we don't argue about things. When it comes to about money and things like that, we're not greedy. We know we split everything down the middle. We split the workload. He works as hard as I work. Yeah. So it kind of works out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know what you mean though, because some people, they fall out, they can't do business. Even twins. I know twins that can't do business together. Yeah. But we're lucky that way.
You found it. I think it's just, and that's it. Like, whether it's a twin or a friend or, you know, a brother or a sister or a cousin, I think just really understanding, like, having an expectation of what you both expect from each other. Because like you said, if you're both working just as hard and you're both happy to split money, and maybe at some point you want to reinvest, some point you want to take money to pay yourselves, I think, but really understanding what it is you both want out of the business is what can sort of allow you to not have those issues in the future. We
don't have no issues. But what I want to ask you as well is, how do you find doing everything by yourself? So
it's like a gift and a curse, like in that the fact that for ages, like when I was doing rent to rent alongside property development, alongside like a load of other stuff, like there, it's like I remember like working for a year straight, like 80 hours a week. Like I'm talking like getting up, like, you know, getting up when it's dark, coming in when it's dark, and then even when I come in, I'm on the laptop, I'm doing X, Y, or Z, I'm managing
non-stop.
And like stuff that, but then it's only now that I've got like a UK PA and then a virtual assistant, and then I've got a project manager and I've got people that outsource stuff to. It's only now thinking back on it, I'm like, do you know how crazy that was? That I used to do all of these things. I used to have to check all of the rents. I used to have to manage all the tenants, deal with the repairs, deal with, like, you know what it's like managing HMOs and like 5 different people that maybe don't love each other that have to live together. Like the kind of stuff that I was like, I don't know. And I think there was one point, and it was this like, you know, sometimes you have like a realization. It was like my friend said, he was like, you've got this thing where I can see it, because all my emails go through to my phone. It's like we could be out like in the club in Dubai at like 3 a.m, and I'd look at my phone and my whole mood would change, because it's like, now I've got to go and deal with this. I can't enjoy whatever's going on. So I think it's definitely important. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying day one go and employ 5 staff members, but at a point in time where you can afford it and you can say, okay, like, you know what, my expertise is better to focus on other things, then definitely like the ability to delegate to people that kind of have a similar mindset to keep your business ethos in place is super important. Pause. Stop. Sorry, quick intermission. As we have no sponsors, you're the sponsor right now, so subscribe to this video if you're enjoying it. Also, if you haven't already, like, comment, all that good stuff. Now, back to the video.
So I was going to ask you, how do you find staff that you get to do your bidding, basically?
That's what makes me sound like an evil genius. You said do your bidding. But no, I know what you mean. Like people that are like-minded, have that same business ethos. I think I've got like a PA in the UK who, ironically, I found, I didn't find them, they found me, and we've been going.
So she's in the UK?
So one's in the UK and one's overseas in the Philippines. So one's technically a PA and a VA. Both do different roles. One's kind of more day-to-day, one's business development. The one in the UK, like, amazing, more than overqualified to work with me. But like, she's been so instrumental in helping what I do. But ironically, like, you know, it was a skill trade-off that, like, for her to work alongside me, and I met her on Instagram, and I think that's another thing when people talk about, oh, how do you find the hours in the day to go out and do the social media? Don't you just want to stay at work, like, and doing the actual work that makes the money? But sometimes those like knock-on effects or those like extra bonuses of being on social media can actually be more valuable in different areas than maybe the bread and butter side of things. Then like I've got family that work with me, so I'm all about family. So like my sister like does like my viewing assistant stuff, so she works alongside me. Even like with my dad, project manages a lot of stuff, and I think that's also important. Like if you can, I know we spoke about working with family, but you know, working alongside people that generally have a vested interest in you being successful is really important. Like I've mentioned this on a number of podcasts, but like my architect, I've known for 15 years. My accountant, I've known for 20 years. Like I went to school, I grew up with them. My solicitor, I went to university with. So these are all like decade long plus, some of them like multiple decade relationships. And I think like, because we all came up together, we're all growing together. So they're learning as I'm learning, and we kind of bounce off each other. And I think those types of relationships are really important.
That makes sense. But what I would say as well is you can find virtual assistants out to the camera. You can find virtual assistants on onlinejobs.ph. They're from the Philippines, and a lot of them are even overqualified, and they work for good money as well. So it doesn't really cost too much, but they help out. That's what we do.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like definitely systemizing your business. So if you've got those monotonous, which I think is the word I've forgotten, couldn't remember in that day in the live video, like tasks that you do on a regular basis that can easily be outsourced. Yeah, definitely using virtual assistants all over the world can maximize your efficiencies. But we've been chatting and I've been enjoying this, and there's been things that I've wanted to ask you and I've forgotten. So before we run out of time, obviously we spoke a lot about the training element of your business, but you know, the other kind of thing that takes up 50% of your time is the deal sourcing. Now, when deal sourcing, what does your typical client look like? Like, who are you deal sourcing for, and what type of deals are you packaging?
So we're sourcing for people that want buy-to-lets. So of course, buy-to-let can either be a single let or it can be a HMO. Yeah. So we charge £2,000 for us to source a single let for you, and £2,500 for us to source a HMO. But sometimes we're retained by the sellers, so we get paid on the seller side. So then we don't charge. Do you get what I'm saying? So our perfect person that comes to us is someone that wants a buy-to-let, that doesn't have the expertise or doesn't have the time, but they've got their mortgage in principle, or they want to get their mortgage in principle so they can obtain the buy-to-let, and they need help finding the right one. So we've helped hundreds of people pretty much do that.
So then I guess my question would be, because obviously I come from the property space, but why would somebody come to you as opposed to, you know, using the more conventional Zoopla or Rightmoves? Like, what is it about your ones that makes it beneficial to them?
I'll call us a buyer's agent in the sense that we're working for the buyer. If you go to the estate agent on Zoopla or Rightmove, they're working for the seller. They're retained by the seller. You don't pay an agent on Zoopla to find the property. They get paid by the seller when you buy it. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And what you find is estate agents, they sell what they have in stock. So if they're operating a certain postcode, they're going to sell you whatever they have in stock. But that's not necessarily the best investment to buy. So when people come to us, we go through all the data, go through all the postcodes, find the hotspots of where's doing the best in returns of growth per year, growth every 3 years, the lowest crime rate, highest yield, reasonably priced, and we find you the best one out of all of them. Do you know what I mean?
No, I guess obviously you're as a buying agent effectively who's working for the buyer as opposed to the vendor. Exactly. Naturally the estate agents have a vested interest to work for their client and get as much money, whereas you want to negotiate as good price as possible. So even that fee, and a lot of the time, this is I think one thing that in business people need to remember, that paying a fee doesn't always cost you more. Because if a property is £100,000 and you pay a £2,000 fee to source it, but because of your relationships and expertise, you negotiate £5,000 off, they're in a £3,000 better positive position.
Where, I'll tell you a story. I sourced 2 deals for a client. The properties were worth 130 each. I negotiated to get each one of them for 100k each. So he said he saw 60k. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So
relatively, that the money that he was paying you then became a lot more.
Because one thing I would say as well, I feel like people, don't be afraid to make an offer. Sometimes you know that you can't offer 10k below or 20k below, but sometimes you actually can, even if I'm probably going for 100k. Depending on how long it's been sitting on the market and how hot that market is, you can offer less. Because even when I speak to some of my clients, they don't know that you can offer less. Some people pay even above asking.
I think it all depends on the market, but definitely I think that's why, like of anybody, if you employ a personal shopper, it's their job to go and check 5 shops, 10 shops to see who has the trainers or the jeans you want in stock. And if you employ a buying agent, it's your job to go and offer on 10 different properties and see which one you can get them a great deal on.
100%. And obviously a lot of people, they don't really know how to do due diligence on the true market value of a property. Because some people, let's say an agent puts up a property for 200k, if you check the comparables, sometimes they're going for 160k, but they're overpricing it.
Yeah.
They're overpricing it. So we make sure that you're buying it for the correct market value, so you don't get bumped. Because a lot of people are overpaying right now. They're overpaying.
Overpaying. Yeah, in a hot market, in a seller's market, it can be the case. I often hear a lot of people saying they're struggling to find a deal. They're ready. They've got money. So if you are that person that's got money and can't find your deal, you know, somebody that you can engage with.
100.
So what does the future hold for yourself, for Clinton, for Viden Property as a whole? What do you guys want to be doing over the next couple of years, or what else are you doing personally?
So personally, we do flips. So we do flips, do joint venture with investors. We mainly do them in the north, and long term, well, medium to long term, I would say, we're looking to focus on build to rent. So we're still going to be sourcing, we're still going to be doing the education side of our business, but we want to be focused on building properties and refinancing them to rent out and to add to our portfolio. And obviously to do that, we're putting our education side of our business online, and we're taking on fewer clients for the buy to let side of things. But it works.
I think it's funny because I was speaking to Hannah and George yesterday, who invest in South Wales, and they're from Viden Property, and they were saying sort of something similar. They used to do a load of project management for their investor projects, and then as they wanted to start doing more of their own projects, or slightly, they needed to restructure the business to make sure they could still deliver the same value of service to their clients, to their to their students, to their investors, etc. So I think that is definitely a really important takeaway of any business that you're trying to grow. You can't always do everything, and sometimes you've got to focus on, or you have to do it in a way that allows you to do everything, to kind of have those systems in place that allow you to still deliver the education whilst going into those further ventures.
100%, because with us, the reason why we can deliver the training is because we've sourced and sold flip opportunities and done flips. We've sourced buy and refurbish refinance projects. We sourced rent to rent. Do you get what I mean? So because we're experienced in each one of them, we can deliver it, but it's not something that one person could do. I don't advise anyone to use all the strategy and do all of them at once. When I see someone that does all of them at once,
it's a bit of a red flag.
I know it's not working out for you, because you can't do that many things. You kind of have to niche down. So anyone that comes to our program, or anyone that wants to get started in property, I would say select one strategy, focus on that, master that, and then maybe move on to something else or add something else. Don't try and do everything at once. You know what I mean?
Well, that is a very good kind of point, I think, where we can start to draw this interview to a close. There is one question I asked all our guests, everyone, because to be fair, this is just me delegating, as you've realised that I've learned how to delegate recently. And the most common question I get asked is, I'm 16, I'm 17, I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20, but basically I'm young and I want to get into property. What steps would you advise me to take? I want you to help me answer that.
Okay, because that would reflect on your goals. So if your goal is to build a portfolio and you don't want to use your own money, then you can use the strategy deal sourcing. But if your goal is to build a portfolio and you don't mind leveraging investors' money, I would say learn how to structure deals and do joint ventures with investors that have the cash and not the time. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's something that a lot of young people can do. And even if you're 16 or 17, I would also advise to shadow someone and find yourself a mentor that you can get to guide you, because that will go a long way. Because even when you're doing deals, if you have that person that you can pick up the phone and call them and say, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Or I need this, that's invaluable.
Okay. So you heard it from Mr. Carlton in regards to his advice for what to do at that age. He also nicely segued into pitching his own business, because he said that you should go and get your training. No, I respect to pitch, I respect to plug.
Even if you're not coming to me, I only can say that because that's what I done. Do you know what I mean? So I got the help like that, so I only can go based on my experience. You know what I'm saying?
But just in case they do want to come to you, where can they find you? Because they might be listening to this, it might not be visual. So where can they find you? Where do we find Viden Services?
Well, we're mainly on Instagram. We use Instagram and Snapchat mainly at Viden Property, and we're about to branch out into YouTube and TikTok, so it will be Viden Property.
So you find Viden Property everywhere. That's Viden, for those that are dyslexic like myself and need it spelled out. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. If you've got any questions for myself or Carlton, use the comment section, ask us, and we'll definitely come back to you. If you've enjoyed it, it's free to drop a like. It doesn't cost you anything, so do that. and there'll be another episode out each and every week.
100.